Chapter 2, Section 3c of a contribution to the Critique of Political Economy by Karl Marx, translated by Nahum Isaac Stone. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Traven Leroy, Ottawa, Canada. Chapter 2, Money or Simple Circulation, Section 3c, World Money. Gold becomes money as distinguished from coin only after it is withdrawn from circulation in the shape of a hoard. It then enters circulation as a non-medium of circulation, and finally breaks through the barriers of home circulation to assume the part of a universal equivalent in the world of commodities. It becomes world money. While the general measures of weight of the precious metals served as their original measures of value, the reverse process takes place now in the world market, and the reckoning names of money are turned back into corresponding weight names. In the same way, while shapeless crude metal, ace rude, was the original form of the medium of circulation, and the coin form constituted but the official stamp certifying that a given piece of metal was of a certain weight, now the precious metal in its capacity of a world coin throws off its stamp and shape and reassumes the indistinguishable Boolean form. And even if national coins such as Russian imperials, Mexican dollars, and English sovereigns do circulate abroad, their name is of no importance, and only their contents count. Finally, as international money, the precious metals come again to perform their original function of mediums of exchange, which, like the exchange of commodities, arose first not within the various primitive communities, but at their points of contact with one another. As world money, money thus reassumes its primitive form. On leaving the sphere of home circulation, it strips off the particular forms which it has acquired in the course of the development of the process of exchange within that particular national sphere, those local garbs of standard price, of coin, of auxiliary coin, and of token value. We have seen that in the home circulation of a country, only one commodity serves as a measure of value. Since, however, that function is performed by gold in some countries and by silver in others, there is a double standard of value in the world market, and money assumes two forms in all its other functions. The translation of the values of commodities from gold prices into silver prices and vice versa depends in each case upon the relative value of the two metals, which is constantly changing and, therefore, appears to be constantly in the process of determination. Commodity owners in every national sphere of circulation have to use gold and silver alternately for foreign circulation, and thus to exchange the metal which is accepted as money at home for the metal which they happen to need as money abroad. Every nation is, therefore, utilizing both metals, gold and silver, as world money. In the international circulation of commodities, gold and silver appear not as mediums of circulation, but as universal mediums of exchange. The universal medium of exchange performs its function only under its two developed forms of a means of purchase and of a means of payment, whose mutual relation in the world market is the very reverse of what it is at home. In the sphere of home circulation, money in the form of coin played exclusively the part of a means of purchase, either as the intermediary in the dynamic unity C to M to C, or as the representative of the transient form of exchange value in the unceasing change of positions by commodities. In the world market, it is just the contrary. Gold and silver appear here as a means of purchase when the exchange of matter is but one-sided, and purchase and sale do not coincide. The frontier trade at Kiachta, for example, is both actually and according to treaty one of barter, in which silver plays only the part of a measure of value. The War of 1857-58 compelled the Chinese to sell without buying. Silver suddenly appeared now as a means of purchase. Out of regard to the letter of the treaty, the Russians made up the French 5-franc coins into crude silver commodities, which were made to serve as a means of exchange. Silver has always served as a means of purchase between Europe and America on one side and Asia on the other, where it settles down in the form of hoards. Furthermore, the precious metals serve as international means of purchase whenever the ordinary balance of exchange of matter between two nations is suddenly upset, as, for example, when a failure of crops forces one of them to buy on an extraordinary scale. Finally, the precious metals are international means of purchase in the hands of gold and silver producing countries, in which case they directly constitute a product and commodity and not merely a converted form of a commodity. The more the exchange of commodities between different national spheres of circulation is developed, the more important becomes the function of world money to serve as a means of payment for the settlement of international balances. Like home circulation, international circulation requires a constantly changing quantity of gold and silver. A part of the accumulated hoard serves, therefore, in each country as a reserve fund of world money, which now declines, now rises, according to the fluctuations of the exchange of commodities. Quote, "The accumulated money supplements that amount which, in order to be actually in circulation and to meet all possible perturbations of trade, retires from that sphere of circulation." End quote. G. R. Carli, note to Barry's Meditazioni sulla economia politica, page 196 of Custodes. End of footnote. Besides the special movements which take place between national spheres of circulation, world money poses a universal movement whose starting points are at the sources of production from which gold and silver streams spread out in different directions all over the world market. Here gold and silver enter the world circulation as commodities and are exchanged for commodity equivalents in proportion to the labor time contained in them, before they penetrate national spheres of circulation. In that latter, they appear now with a given magnitude of value. Every fall or rise in the cost of their production equally affects, therefore, their relative value throughout the world market. On the other hand, that value is entirely independent of the extent to which the different national spheres of circulation absorb gold or silver. The part of the metal stream which is caught up by every separate sphere in the world of commodities partly enters directly the home circulation of money to make up for worn-out coin, partly is dammed up in the different reservoirs containing hoards of coin, means of payment, and world money, partly is turned into articles of luxury, while the rest simply forms a treasure. At an advanced stage of development of the capitalist system of production, the formation of hoards is reduced to the minimum required by the various processes of circulation for the free play of their mechanism. The hoard as such becomes idle wealth, unless it appears as a temporary form of the surplus resulting from a favorable balance of payments, or as the result of an interrupted exchange of matter, i.e., as the solidification of a commodity in its first metamorphosis. Gold and silver in their capacity of money, being by conception universal commodities, assumes in their capacity of world money the form adapted to a universal commodity. To the extent to which all commodities are exchanged from them, they become the transformed impersonation of all commodities, and, therefore, universally alienable commodities. Their function of serving as the embodiment of universal labor time is realized more and more as the interchange of matter produced by concrete labor embraces increasing parts of the world. They become universal equivalents to the extent to which the series of particular equivalents which constitute their spheres of exchange increases. Since in the sphere of world circulation commodities unfold their own exchange value on a universal scale, they assume the form of world money when transformed into gold and silver. As commodity-owning nations are thus turning gold into money by their diversified industry and universal trade, industry and trade appear to them only as a means of getting money out of the world market in the shape of gold and silver. Gold and silver as world money are, therefore, as much products of the universal circulation of commodities as they are means of widening its sphere. Like chemistry, which grew up behind the backs of the alchemists who tried to find a way of making gold, so do the sources of world industry and world trade spring up behind the backs of the owners of commodities, while they are hunting for the commodity in its magic form. Gold and silver help to create the world market by anticipating its existence in their conception of money. That this magic effect of the precious metals is by no means confined to the period of infancy of capitalist society, but is a necessary outgrowth of the perverse conception which the representatives of the commodity world have of their own work in society, is shown by the extraordinary influence exerted in the middle of the 19th century by the discovery of new gold fields. Just as money develops into world money, so the commodity owner develops into a cosmopolitan. The cosmopolitan relation of men is originally only a relation of commodity owners. The commodity as such rises above all religious, political, national, and language barriers. Price is the universal language, and money its common form. But with the development of world money as distinguished from national coin, there develops the cosmopolitanism of the commodity owner as the faith of practical reason opposed to tradition, religious, national, and other prejudices which hinder the interchange of matter among mankind. As the identical gold that lands in England in the form of American eagles turns there into sovereigns and 3 days later circulates in Paris in the form of Napoleons, only to emerge in Venice a few weeks later as so many ducats, retaining all the while the same value, it becomes clear that the commodity owner, that nationality, quote, is but the guinea's stamp, end quote. The lofty idea which he conceives of the entire world is that of a market, the world market. Footnote. Montanari, Della Moneta, 1683, page 40. Quote, the communication of nations among themselves is so widely extended over all the globe that it may be almost said that the entire world has become one city in which a perpetual fair of merchandise is held, and where every man may by means of money acquire and enjoy, while staying at home, all that the earth, the animals, and human industry produce elsewhere. Marvelous invention. End quote. End of footnote. End of Chapter 2, Section 3c. World Money. Recording by Traven Leroy, Ottawa, Canada.